Big up Spurs fan near and fast with your boy Jed Spence and your boy Zeus. We are here looking at the blueprint. We may have some other guests with us, but we haven't done it for a minute. And big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. I take Patch Adams' point here. He said, forget these 4 games. Frankfurt is the only priority. I think, Patch, when we get into tonight's discussion, you will see why we can't really forget these next 4 games. But before I do that, let me introduce the man from the 6th, my bro, Zeus. How you, bro?
I'm good. It's been a hot minute. Okay. I mean, I was gonna say I don't know why we didn't connect, but I mean, I got a new job and I'm not remote like I used to, so been missing out on a lot of Spurs discussion. But at least I didn't make this one.
Yeah, no, thank you for stopping by. And like I said, we may have the famous, world famous Brian with us today. Daigle coming into the building. We may even have Arthur, Mr. Positive. You know what I mean? Or Mr. Philosophical with a different spin on things. We may even have him. Bro, I think let's just get into it. The main reason why I think we need to look at the league form. The league form, I know there's a lot on the Europa League. And before we talk about the next 4 games, I'm just going to say this and pull it out there. And I don't know how you feel about this. Bro, I'm not happy with our season so far, bro. It's fully dusty, bro. It's dusty. And I feel like the season is so bad that I'm not sure if winning the Europa League is enough. Personally, bro, I went to the AZ game, the second leg at our stadium. It was dusty, bro. It was rubbish. I'm not gonna lie. The first leg was dry. The second leg was even dry. We got the win.
The one we won 3-1, or what was it?
Bro, we won 3-1, bro. But Odebear scored 2 goals, and you know Odebear ain't gonna score another 2 goals for at least another 12 months.
That's
in one Premier League game.
He's been injured, bro. He's been injured.
I know, but he's not that guy to be getting braces. Do you know what I'm saying? On a regular basis.
Johnson is popping with the goals. So.
I hear you, but bro, with my eyes, and I want to put things into context. You know, there's been 9 games this season that we've struggled to get a shot on goal in a half. We struggled in 90 minutes against Tamworth. We couldn't get a single shot on goal against AZ away from home. We stunk out the place. We got popped, bro, in the Carabao Cup by Coventry. The signs are there that this is dusty, and there's a lot coming out in the papers right now. I'm just not convinced Spurs can beat Frankfurt. I think we're as good as out. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we can, and that's why I'm not looking at the Frankfurt game. But what are your thoughts, bro, in terms of the season so far? And do you think we can win the Europa League before we get into it?
I mean, the season has been dusty. Like, I mean, at the beginning, if you go back to the clips, I said I would take 14th if we win a trophy. And, you know, you say these things, but when it's actually happening, you're like, holy moly, like, what is going on? I mean, the Ange excuse of like injuries and all that, it doesn't seem like players came back and the form didn't pick up, right? Yeah. And you got to give credit to your boy Sava on the other channel. I forget what his channel, Heritage TV. Yeah, he called it a long time ago. He said after the first 10 games of his reign, he wasn't doing it. Like the results have been poor. So the results have been poor. There's still a chance to win a trophy. But I think.
Do you think there's still a chance? Because like
there's still a chance, yeah, man. None of these teams are.
But I'm looking at it, bro. We're not beating Frankfurt, and even if we beat Frankfurt, we're not good enough to beat Lazio. I mean, come on, let's just.
No, it's still tournament football, right? Like anything can happen. Like United beat City in the FA Cup last year, so it's football. Anything can happen. We might not be favorites, but we're still in it. We're not out. And so we could still win a trophy. But the bigger point for me is that, and you kind of hinted at it, is if we win a trophy, it could be a case of the Eric Ten Hag's, right? Where he won a trophy with United, but the league form was terrible, but they still kept him on because of that. So it's starting to look like Ange is not like that guy.
Oh, big up, Brian. Yeah.
Big up, Deji. Big up, Zeus. How you doing,
Brian?
Stop. Yo, Brian, where are you right now? Are you back?
I'm in Toronto now. I fly back straight after the Chelsea game.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay. So you're coming over and or whatever. I don't know.
Put it this way: change for Tottenham. I'll be there.
Okay. Okay. Good.
I mean, just to kind of let people know, like we linked up. I forgot the previous game, but when I saw that you were in Toronto, I was like, holy crap! The famous Brian Diggler's in Toronto. This is crazy. And
I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe he literally, because I did this video and I got the CN Tower in the back end.
Yeah.
He messaged on We Are Tottenham TV. Go, Brian, you're in Toronto. I was like, I live here. I live here. I'm going to be there for Chelsea. So if you get there for Chelsea,
mate, I might even see you at that game, mate. I might even see you, man, Brian. So if you're going to be about, let's try and make it happen. I know Zeus.
Oh, for sure. I'm not going in the stadium. I'm not going in the stadium, but I'll be on the march. And actually, we got each other's numbers. I'm back till the 28th. We'll definitely meet up.
Let's link up. And I know 100%. Eugene as well might be coming through around about this time. Can I just pick up on Ashley? Ashley, you might not agree with the stuff I say about Ange. That's perfectly fine. But to call me a fool, you're lucky I'm in a good mood today, bro. That's all I can say. You're just lucky I'm in a good mood. I'm going to let that slide, bro. But there's no need to call me a fool. At the end of the day, I'm giving my opinion about our club. You've got low standards for our club, and that's why you're a dickhead. But anyway, we'll move on. So, before we get into it, Brian, quickly, just getting your views. I just asked Zeus. Zeus says we got a chance to win the Europa League. I don't think we've got a chance in hell, and I gave him the history. Tamworth, we got popped by Coventry. The AZ game, I went to the last AZ game. I thought it was rubbish. I actually thought we were quite lucky. Why were we overpassing? I'm not convinced Ange is the guy. And so quickly, I just want to get your view on the Europa League. Then we're going to touch on the Areola news, and then we'll quickly look on the next 4 games, and we should be done in about half hour.
Mate, I've got all the time in the world. The wife's gone out on a business thing. Mate, you can go for 12 hours. I'm here. I'm locked in. Europa League. I think the only chance Spurs have a qualifying is if we absolutely smash them at Tottenham and get a 3-goal. Like if we go with a 3-0 lead or a 3-goal advantage, then I think we stand a very, very good chance. And it's not even just about with Ange. We're just not scoring goals at the moment, are we? Yes, we did against Alkmaar, but if you look at the Premier League and the bread and butter, we're just not getting amongst the goals. I just can't see us going to Germany. If we have a good lead, I think Spurs will hold out, but we need to make sure we take full advantage of the first leg.
Do you think we'll hold out though, Brian? Because I look at that AZ game, it was, squeaky bum time, and we don't create chances, and they could have easily scored towards the end, and then we would have been singing a whole different story. I don't know why. Look, I was a big fan of Ange. I'm not so much of as a fan because I just don't. There's no fluidity in our play. Solanke's not used. He's just a donkey. He's just a workhorse. Our wingers, when you really look at them, they're not legit. They're not top 6 wingers. Let's be honest. Son is not up to scratch. Madders is not up to scratch.
You and I differ on Solanke. I love Solanke.
I like Solanke. I just don't like the fact that we don't aim for him.
Exactly. That's the exact thing, Dej. That's the exact thing.
Why use him? And that's why I want Areola at our club. I mean, maybe we touch on that briefly, Zeus. There's news coming out. We've been banging on. Maybe YouTube is having an influence. I've been banging on about Marco Silva and Areola for pretty much most of the season, at least since October, ending beginning of November. I wanted Marco Silva before we got Ange, and now we're seeing that Areola is probably odds on. How are you feeling about that potential appointment? Brian, I'll ask you the same question. And for me, the fact that it's come out now is an indication that the board, because I know this must be genuine, I think they've lost trust in Ange too.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned 2 managers and you left out the one that I actually want. You're saying you wanted Silva before. I want Thomas Frank.
Really?
I honestly, I'm a massive fan of Thomas Frank, and do you know what it is, Deji? What I do like about him is he adapts in games.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, he's exceeding expectations at Brentford, I would say, in what he's doing. He's had to lose key players like a Raya, like a Tony, deals with it. And whether we like it or not, the media is a big part of the managerial's job now. Given the press, he's brilliant. He's brilliant with the media, as Thomas Frank. And anything I watch, like when they've done it on Sky Sports, A Day with Thomas Frank, I think he is so underrated. Not saying that he's going to go and do, but we look at it, and I'm not comparing the managers per se. When we first took Pochettino, he was at Espanyol and Southampton, and he made that Southampton team. We took him. He has Southampton playing some incredible football.
Yeah,
I really, really like Thomas Frank. And I think what we've got to look at right now, as Spurs fans, in all serious, the next manager, we're miles away from getting back into the top four with the way other teams have spent and started going forward. We don't need a manager right now to get us back into the top four. We're miles off. We're not going to buy the players. We need someone that can come in and go, right, let's build. Let's build with the defence, which has been poor. I really, really want Thomas Frank. If we go down that road, Thomas Frank, like you said, Desi, you wanted Silva before Postecoglou came. I'm a big Thomas Frank fan.
Big up. And I love that. Very persuasive there. And big up Wolfgang in the building. My Chelsea brother, Wolfgang, we need to reconnect. Definitely. Zeus, what are you saying? Out of the three managers, who would you like to see at the helm potentially next season?
To me, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these guys. That second tier of manager that have done pretty well for at least 2 seasons at these mid-tier clubs. No disrespect, but I think for some reason the Areola appointment reminds me a lot of when we took Pochettino from Southampton. Like it reminds me of that. Like this up and coming team, they play good stuff. It just reminds me of that a lot. And and to be fair, your boy Ashley is bringing up some good points about these guys. They're only playing 1 game a week. What happens when they move to
squad?
Come again?
I said,
exactly. That's the thing. Look at the squad. They're both above us. They're both above us. We have got better players, and we should. Whatever manager comes in, whether it's Iriola, Frank, Silva, or any other manager, Tottenham Hotspur squad should always be built for Europe and to play 3 games a week and to be able to participate in European competitions.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brentford's aim since they've been in, and Bournemouth, look at the size of the clubs, are to stay in the Premier League. That's the aim. Their aim isn't Europe, but Bournemouth have been pushing for it. I don't get this when people do this. Teams that don't play in Europe one season, okay, they're not in Europe. But a team like Tottenham Hotspur should have a squad that any manager comes in should be able to manage 3 games a week. But we don't rotate our squad. Thomas Frank, Iriola, Silva do.
Yeah.
The training is different. There's loads of different. This is the thing. We're already bitching on the so-called targets for the next manager. We're already slating them.
No, I'm just saying it's a valid point. It's a valid point. But I will say though, like I said, it reminds me of the Poch appointment where you had some guys coming from like the second tier, and that proven Premier League experience. Like they were kind of like short things. I don't think we can go wrong with either one. But Iriola reminds me the most. Maybe it's the Spanish aspect of it. Reminds me the most. Well, Silva too, but it reminds me the most of the Pochettino appointment. So
and I think the key thing for me is that with all of these managers, I think the one thing that I was hoping to see in Postecoglou that I haven't seen, and what Pochettino was able to do, was to take quite average players and make them something. Before Pochettino, Danny Rose wasn't anything special. Neither was Carl Walker, and literally had them the best fullbacks in the league. Obviously, he was fortunate to have Harry Kane, but I would also argue he brought in Dele Alli and turned Dele Alli into a superstar. And I've seen Marco Silva turn, Iwobi. Iwobi's a new player. Robertson has come to the fore under this guy. But also, if you look at the Bournemouth team, Clivert's son weren't doing diddly squat last season. All of a sudden, Clivert is the madman this season. Semenyo is doing something. We're respecting the Bournemouth midfield. I'm just saying, anyone that can take, because I feel like there's players there. Old the Bear, I would like to see a manager really coach him. I would like to see what the full potential of Bergwell, the full potential of Archie Gray, which we haven't seen because they're being played out of position. Could these managers find Basuma, who's lost in space at the moment? We don't know. Could they bring back Bentancur? These are good players playing crap this season. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm like, we need one of them. But yeah, Brian, obviously.
Well, you know the other thing, we're talking about these managers. Let's look at the Chelsea manager who was managing Championship Leicester last season and not playing Europe and everything. Well, he's gone to Chelsea and is now qualifying for Champions or in the Champions League places and playing in the Conference League, playing 3 games a week because Chelsea have a squad to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But he came from the Championship. So look, we all know what's going to happen. I stayed Ange in as long as I could, and I finally gave up after the North London derby. I couldn't. And you know what? It weren't just the performance against Arsenal. When I was going out, leaving the Scotland Yard to go and do my interview for We Are Tottenham TV on my fan bit, someone sent me a message saying Ipswich have had less defeats than us. And they only got their first win against us in November.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that? That's what did it for me. But then obviously Everton, Leicester. I really wanted this to work. I really, really wanted this to work. And I've never, ever, ever turned on a manager, ever, until now, because the performances, the results, the lack of change, it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. I'm with you. No, Brian, I'm with you. I tried to be and I fought for him. You probably would have seen some of the stuff. And for me, it dawned on me round about the Palace game that he's a gambler. So this system is a system where you might beat Man City 4-0. You might even get a 1-0 win against Liverpool. You know what is crazy is that Ange might even stink out a win against Chelsea. And then all of a sudden, because they got these epic victories, that compensates for the poor performances. But the fact of the matter is, I said as a joke in November that Spurs could lose 18, 19 games this season. And here we are, 15 games with 9 games to go, 15 losses with 9 games. And I'm like, bloody hell, I'm moving like Mystic Meg. It's a disgrace. And that's why I said, even if he was to win the Europa League, which is highly unlikely, I think he would have to go in my books because that would have been luck. And I haven't seen anything in the way that we play to convince me otherwise. So I'm with you, Brian. I tried to hold tight.
Yeah.
But then when I saw the light, I was like, nope.
Sorry.
So
I just want to address your boy Ashley in his comments. He's talking about the injuries and all that. And there is a lot of talk, not confirmed, but that, his training methods could be, causing those injuries, right? So just highlighting that point to Ashley. But you're right, though, man. Like, I think maybe the question is, should he get the rest of the season? Like, are you guys okay with, what do you guys think? Should he get the rest of the season or?
Do you want to go first, Brian? Or
no, you go first, Des, bro. It's your show, brother. You always go first, mate.
No, I mean, for me personally, I said from before the Carabao Cup semi-final against Liverpool that we are running the risk here. And the thing is, what's happened is everybody said with the Mourinho final, we should have allowed Mourinho to play the final. I'm of the opinion, personally, I didn't want Mourinho to play. I'm just being honest. At the time, I didn't want Mourinho to play that final because I felt like he had lost the dressing room and our performances were rubbish, a bit like how it is now. And so I couldn't see how keeping Mourinho would have potentially won us the cup. I get the argument, though. So what's happened is Levy's heard this and said, right, we got to allow him to stay whilst he's still in the cups. Even though I think we should get rid of him if for us to win the Europa League, I think we've got to get rid of Ange. But to appease everybody, to say, you know what, let him, die on his sword, We had to watch us go out of the FA Cup. We had to watch us go out of the Carabao. And I think it's fair to say if he goes out of the Europa League, he's done. He's a dead man walking. But personally, I would love to win the Europa League this season, because if we don't, like Brian's saying, we're having to do a proper rebuild now.
Yep.
We could be in the doldrums for another 5-10 years. And I don't want that.
Can I just quickly say, this Ashley, and I don't normally get involved in this kind of stuff, is having a great old conversation and argument with himself, because he's going on through here. Son has been injured, Porro has been injured, Archie Gray hasn't, Bergvall has, Bentancur has. So I don't know what we're actually trying to get at here, but I have seen you in other chats, and you seem to love reading your own words, because you literally just talk and talk and go on and go on, and what you're saying doesn't even make sense. So that's what I was saying. It's just madness. Well, I don't understand why people do this.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I hear you. Gentlemen, let's move on to the next 4 games. The next 4 games is Chelsea, Southampton, Wolves, and Nottingham Forest. And big up to Boodbats. I see you, bro. I will be joining you over at Never a Foul once we've finished here. So yep, see you over there.
My bad. It's the next 4 Premier League games?
Chelsea, Southampton, Wolves, and Nottingham Forest.
I mean, we're not including the Frankfurt game in this, right? Is that
I think we can talk about the Frankfurt game separately, but the blueprint's always the Premier League games.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So just wanting to kind of get your views. Gentlemen, up until now, we had the game against Bournemouth. Be interesting to get your views about the last 2 games. We played Bournemouth and we played Fulham. And then I want that to be, if you can just touch on those 2 games and then explain what you can potentially foresee happening in the next 4 games. And I want to start with Zeus, and then Brian, and then myself. Can you touch on the Bournemouth game, what you thought about that game briefly, and then what you thought about the Fulham game briefly?
Yeah, the Bournemouth game, it's been a while now, but I just looking at the results, 2-2, not a bad. I think we're away.
No,
we're home. Okay, it's still Bournemouth.
We were 2-0 down.
We're 2-0, and I think it was some very lucky, dusty goals or something. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I just on the whole of it, it's Bournemouth. They're good. It's a point. Like, I'm okay with that. The Fulham game, the one I watched with Brian, that was it. That's where I broke. I think the squad was, they were back, like in terms of the big boys, so to speak. A lot of the injured players have returned, and that to me, that said, okay, is Ange about this life? Can you do something against Fulham? And we lost 2-0, and that's it. Like, I think that's it. That proves to me who Spurs are. We're not a good team, right? So that's it. That's what broke me. Yeah. And that's why I was like, okay, Ange is not the guy. Like, even if he wins Europa, it's like and it's Eric Ten Hag levels, right? That's all, right? Yeah. Then the next 4. I haven't really been keeping abreast of Chelsea, but I know they're struggling. And I know we never win at the Bridge. So I think a draw. I think we can get a draw.
Okay, cool.
How hard are you holding that laugh in, Deji? How hard?
Mate, honestly, I tried not to. I really did. I didn't want to spoil it.
I might be a bit biased though, because I had Ange as my. I don't know if you guys play fantasy Premier League. I have him as my manager for assistant manager chip or whatever. Okay. So yeah, there might be some bias, but I'm hoping for a draw there. Chelsea's going through it, and we're dusty. So hopefully, Southampton we should smash. Like, if we lose to against Southampton, he should be sacked. Like, that one, that's sackable. Like, yeah. that should be maximum points. We beat them. We beat them what 5-0 or 5-1 in the reverse fixture early in the
5-0.
season. Yeah. So I'm expecting something similar. Wolves. Oh man, we are a dusty team, man. I don't think we're gonna win that one, to be honest. Like I think our Wolves, like relegation battle, like that's kind of where they're at. Like
just above the relegation battle, but Wolves are still Wolves.
Yeah, but I could see us dropping points there, so that could be a draw, to be honest. Forest, Nuno's revenge continues the way they're going. That could be a loss. So
how many points is that?
I think it's 5.
5 points. That's not bad. I mean, the people in the chat, we're doing a poll right now. I think it's still early days. I think only 2 people have probably done it, but we're at 33% saying that Spurs could get 9 points. But it'd be good to hear what Brian thinks for our next 4, because I don't think he'll be surprised by mine.
Did you want Bournemouth and Fulham? Well, put it this way: Bournemouth and Fulham, as Zeus knows, Zeus came to Scotland Yard. Zeus came to the Scotland Yard. The great thing is we have some great people at the Scotland Yard. It's a great pub, that's what it's become. I go there to see Toronto Spurs people and watch the game, and Chelsea's going to be packed. Bournemouth played some wonderful football. We played okay in the second half. First half was really, really poor. And we're lucky to come back and get the point. Fulham was just an absolute ball fest. An absolute ball fest. And do you know what really annoyed me with that game? Is that Maddison didn't start. We went with another midfield with no creativity when Maddison wasn't on international duty.
Yeah.
Could have played. He just had that. People going, oh, yeah, he needed to be rested and rest his minutes. You know the bit that got with me, that, Desi? Maybe that is true. But why has it become a thing now where resting minutes doesn't mean you can't start and be taken off early? So Maddison could have started the game, maybe helped us create more, get a couple of goals up and say, right, Maddison, now you get your rest. Instead, we bring him on in a lifeless game to try and get him to spark energy into it. So that really annoyed me. Right, these 4 games. Chelsea, as I said to people, we could go there and Chelsea could have 7 men. And somehow at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea managed to find a way to beat us. I've seen games there where we've outplayed them and got a draw, or we've been the better team and lost. There is just something about Stamford Bridge. And if someone said to me after international break, the one fixture you did not want with all this pressure on you, it would be Chelsea away on a Thursday, on a night game. Now, do you know what? With Southampton, I agree with Zeus. It's got to be a win. But the thing you got to remember with what you got to remember with Wolves and Southampton is in between each one is going to be the Frankfurt game. Yeah. So when we go to play Southampton, does he start thinking, right, I need my players fit for Thursday, and makes wholesale changes, 4 or 5 or more, and then Frankfurt, and then again, so Southampton, I'm going to say win. So, do you know what, Wolves? I was talking with it. The last time we scored a winning goal at Wolves was Jan Vertonghen's header in the last minute with Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Bloody hell.
That's how long it's
Wolves. Why is
you know, like we've got a number on Man City. It's like when we go to Molineux, or even the game at the Hotspur State. Do you remember they used to beat us 3-2? They did it with Poch at Wembley. They did it with Jose. We drew 2-2 this year at home.
Matt Doherty liked scoring past us as well. I couldn't believe it. That's why we probably bought him.
So I'm gonna go a draw there, and I think Forest beat us. I think Nuno does a double over us. And fair, do you know what? Fair play. Nottingham Forest have been fantastic this season. Nottingham Forest have been outstanding this season, and they deserve all the plaudits that they're getting. So I can see at best 4 points.
Yeah, fair play. So we've got Zeus currently in the lead with 5 points. We've got Brian, but we're closely behind with 4. And so it leaves me. I'll put everyone out of their misery, to be honest. I think Spurs will get 3 points. I tell you why. Again, agreeing with my fellow panelists, we don't do anything at Chelsea. I was having a go with CB. I think it was yesterday, saying, well, how is it that Chelsea always seem to be pumped up for Spurs, but when they need to play the Red Tottenham, the Spicy Spurs, the Scotch Bonnet FC, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they never turn up. They never turn up against Arsenal. That is the game that they should be turning up and showing what they got. They don't do that, and they'll come and slap us and shake their bum for beating Spurs. So I can't see how Tottenham get anything but a hammering. I'm already predicting 3 or 4-0 because we're not scoring. And if we do score, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, the first time we beat Southampton, I actually thought Southampton were going to beat us. That's how poor we were. And I was surprised to win 5-0. It wouldn't shock me if we were to draw Southampton. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm going to give Tottenham the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to somehow get the win. I think Wolves beat Spurs. They're just one of our bogey teams. Like, the games were always tight. Even if we had our full strength team, we're gonna struggle. It's gonna be one of them games. Cunha, these brothers, they just turn up. And I think Nuno is just gonna do the double over us this season. So I think if we're lucky, Spurs get 3 points. And actually, when you look at our remaining games, that is the only points I think we get. I've been saying to people, Brian and Zeus, that this will be the first season that I've been watching Spurs that we won't get 40 points. Do you think we'll get 40 points between now and the end of the season?
What are we on now? 34?
Yeah, 33, 34.
We have to. We're
not going down. We're not going down.
No, of course we're not. Of course we're not. I mean, let's face it, Deji, 40, that old term that we're 40, I don't think 40 has been needed to get relegated. I think it's all been in the 30s the last few years, hasn't it? All the 3 teams. So yeah. That number isn't really that number that stood for years saying you need 40 points for the safety mark. Yeah, we surely we've got to get past 40 points. I don't know where the points are coming, but I think we've got to get 40 plus.
But I'm saying, Brian, I can't see it happening because after that we've got Liverpool. We've got
Villa away.
Villa. We've
got Palace though.
We've got Palace at home. Palace is a crazy team.
Yeah.
I can't see any more points. So I'm not sure if we get 40
West Ham away, we could win that.
Under Graham Potter. Remember, Graham Potter got a win against Chelsea. Just saying.
Yeah, but this is not the same Chelsea as the first half of the season, right? So
well, if that is the case, then Spurs should be getting 3 points or at least a point, and I can't really see that happening.
Yeah. Stamford Bridge.
Just wanted to move on in terms of, did you see the Jed Spence podcast with Rio Ferdinand? If you did see it, just briefly, what did you think of it? And can you just tell me as well, what is our strongest 11? Because I still don't know what our strongest 11 is. Every game seems to be something new. And I think that's part of the problem. If you don't know your strongest 11, you're always going to struggle. I mean, that's just common sense. That's just football. And that kind of speaks to why we're struggling so badly. So Jed Spence, for me, I'll tell you why I wanted to talk to you about Jed Spence. I think Jed Spence and Kulusevski have been our best players so far this season. I'm delighted for the lad. I was one of the people, Zeus will know, backing him from the Conte days, saying, give the boy a chance. And now seeing him play week in, week out, whether he's on the left or the right. I trust Spence more than I trust Udogie. I trust Spence more than I trust Pedro Porro. And he talked with a lot of confidence. And Brian, it goes back to your point because he was rested for the Man City game and Porro started ahead of him. Yet it would have made sense to start Spence and be up against Doku, and maybe we get a draw. And it's those kind of key decisions that Ange gets wrong that pisses me off. So that's where that question comes from.
Do you know what I can actually say? I actually agreed with Ange about resting Spence.
Did you?
With that game, I did. I was like, people were saying if we played our strongest team, we may have beaten City, and we may have had an outside chance of qualifying for Europe, which I said, no, we don't. Look what the games we got left. Right now, everything's got to go into Europe, and I want to have, the way our injuries have been, the strongest team available for Europe. So when he made that change, I actually got it. I thought that was actually well done by Ange, in all honesty. Yeah. But obviously, Porro didn't have the best of games.
Mm-hmm.
Doku
he's not been having any good games though, Porro.
I think if we're talking before about Solanke getting the service, I'd love to see Porro go back to where he originally started his career and play him on the right, up top.
Yeah.
You look at that Man City game, he was bad in the first half, but then in the second half, 3 great crosses within 5 minutes. Solanke weren't on the pitch, obviously, still hadn't been back, but those crosses are kind of the bread and butter for Solanke.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Spence right back, Solanke, Porro ahead of him. I'd love to see
Porro on the right. Porro on the right. I trust him over Brennan Johnson all day long. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
But the Spence interview, sorry to let you speak. The Spence, I've got to sit down and watch it. I've seen snippets.
Yeah.
And obviously there's bits where people have twisted it, and when they said leadership, they've chopped it and not said the whole bit where it's gone on to say Kulusevski and Vicario. So I'm not really going to comment a lot on the clips because I know people have twisted it. But once I've seen it, he looks I don't know if it's arrogant or just he's a really chill, laid back dude. Yeah, because it depends which way you want to look at it. But like I said, I haven't seen the interview yet, so it's hard for me to comment.
He comes across super confident, and he backs himself. I think what I was excited by in his kind of interview is that, he's saying 1v1, there's nobody that can beat me. Like, you can't think of anyone. And that's the kind of attitude that I want to see from my right back or left back. And actually, he talks about loving to defend. He loves to defend. He said he would rather save the ball off the line than score a last-minute goal. Yep. And so for me, just hearing that from him, I'm like, bloody hell, we've got someone who loves this role. He's not just someone just filling in. This is his best position. And he talked about the fact that he's a rarity because he can attack and defend. So I'm like looking at and saying, why aren't you utilizing him more? And that's the reason why I kind of enjoyed that interview. From forget the sunglasses and all that crap. Listen to him. He's a confident lad who I think has a lot of potential. But Zeus, did you get to see it?
No. I just saw a few clips here and there, not even clips, but just stills from it. And I just saw the bit where he talked about how he felt after Conte said he was a club signing and all that. I haven't gone into it in depth.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Lastly then, Brian, you kind of touched on it. Moving forward, what would you, how does Ange, it's a stupid question. I guess what I wanted to know is, what is our strongest lineup in your opinion? But how does he save himself, if that makes sense? I mean, everyone will say winning the Europa League buys in time, but does it? Do you know what I mean? I'm not convinced, but I want to put that to you.
So let's have a look. Strongest 11. Are we saying if everyone's all fit, firing, and ready to go?
Yeah, everyone's fit, yeah.
Okay. I would say, all right, Vicario in goal.
Yep.
Spence right back. Obviously Van de Ven, Romero. But I would like to see Van de Ven Danso, actually, and I think next season that's what we will be seeing. I've been very impressed with Danso. I think he's going to look good. He has been, obviously there was a lot of our last minute, but I've been impressed with what he's had to offer. Left back would be Destiny, but just because that's all we've got at the moment. I would love to see a midfield 3 of Gray, Bergvall, Kulu.
Yeah.
Then I would love to see, obviously, Sonny at the moment is the captain. I don't think you can take him out, but I do want, do you know what? Odegaard has looked really good for France under 21.
I think he's right. Yeah.
And I would, if I wanted to be explosive, I would say Porro, Solanke.
Yeah.
And then it all depends. If I need goals, Sonny on the left. But if we need someone to get the balls in, I will go Odegaard.
Yeah. I actually like that lineup. I actually agree with that lineup. Zeus, do you have another take? Do you agree with that, or what would you say?
Yeah, a lot of it. I agree with a lot of it, but I would have Vicario on goal, Spence at right back, Romero VDV, and I would have Gray at left back. A lot of it has to do with I don't remember Udogi really doing anything. I don't know if it's because of the injuries, but I just remember him doing anything. I just remember him doing much.
He's been rubbish. He's been rubbish so far.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, he's been. Yeah, not the same guy as last season, anyways. Then in the midfield, I would have Bergwall, Kulu, and Madison. Very attacking. And probably need like a specialist six back there, but I'm just going based off of like the best talent, and I had to fit them in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Odebear on the left, Solanke striking, obviously, and I can't ignore his goals, Johnson.
I can.
You can?
I can. He offers absolutely nothing.
He scores, man.
You could do what Brendan Johnson does at our club. He does absolutely nothing, man. Nah, I can look past.
I mean, I haven't seen Odebear. Does Odebear play on the right? He usually plays on the left, if I remember correctly.
He can play either.
He can do both.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. The goals he scores.
He can beat a man. That's what I like about Odebear. He can take you on. He's probably the only player that I know that takes players on, because Brennan Johnson doesn't. Son can't anymore. He's just not that guy. Until I mean, crikey. Let's not.
But Deji, look, he scored a couple with France as well.
Who?
Tell.
In the under-21s, he scored a couple of goals in the last France under-21 game.
Let's
hope he gets goals. Actually, I just don't get. There's quite a few of our internationals that went away and actually did well for their country.
I do think it's
apart from Romero. Romero,
I do think it's about the system, but I first of all agree with you guys. I think Danzo's a player. I've been rating him from when I watched the France-Austria game. I just happened to watch that game and he broke Mbappe's nose, and I've been telling everyone about it. And the truth is, he brought so much hostility that game. I thought, what a player, what a defender. The fact that we got him, I am impressed. But I actually think maybe it's the system, because the system we play, we don't actually cross the ball in. Have you noticed that? We don't do crosses into the box. That's an issue for me, especially if you've got a striker like Solanke. And then also, Solanke is a decoy. They are aiming. Our system is, if you're on the right wing, whip it to the far post. If you're on the left wing, whip it to the far post. That's our game.
Yep.
And it wiped everyone else out. And I don't think that style of play works for us.
You know what? When we're naming our 11s, I don't know if you guys noticed, like we don't have too many like nailed on guaranteed this guys have to start. I mean, apart from the center backs. But we don't have like world-class play, like, you know what I'm saying? Like Harry Kane, bang, Eriksen, those guys had to start. Harry Kane, Eriksen, Son back then. But now it's a lot of guys at the same level.
I think for me, there's only 4 players guaranteed a spot, and then the rest is all 5. I think Solanke, because Solanke. I think Kulusevski. I don't think Madders starts for me in the Spurs team. I think Jed Spence, Vicario, and Van der Ven. I'm quite happy to see Romero leave. I think he only turns up for Buenos Aires, and it pisses me off. So the sooner he goes, the better. But I think those 5 are our core, and then the rest is a mismatch.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, you look at it. We go back and look at teams since the new start. There's always been that one or two stars. Those 2 players that do you know what? If we're playing bad, they will do something, or they'll be able to create something to get us out of a jam, or to get that decisive goal, or create that opportunity. Now you look at it and you're just like, I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know, and it's sad. It's sad. I wanted either Eze or Morgan Gibbs-White, who I love. I love MGW. I fucking love him. Over Maddison, but I understand why we got Maddison. And Maddison on his day can be absolutely fantastic. On his day, like we see with Leicester. I mean, since he's come here, when does he shoot? He used to shoot all the time outside the area. Maddison had a few yards space, bang shot. Yeah. Free kicks, they were brilliant at Leicester. It's all gone. Whether it's the system he's playing in, his fitness or whatever. There just isn't. I mean, if you look at that team now, let's just say the team that played Fulham. Name me one player there. You go, do you know what? He's going to create a bit of magic. There was just no one.
There was no one, man.
Could it be that Tell was supposed to be that guy?
Nah,
maybe
he's not that.
that's what the board and Ange might have thought. You look at Leicester, Aston Villa that went and got Arsenio and Rashford. Rashford looks rejuvenated. All right, it's only been a few games, but he looks like he's got his love of football back. Arsenio's been superb. They've come into a team that have got people that can change games, but they've enhanced it.
Yeah, 100%.
We've got youth again.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And gentlemen, look, I know we got to go and wrap up, and I got to jump to Never a Foul as well. But lastly, man, Brian, you said something that chimed with what I've been feeling. We're starting again, aren't we? Should we lower our expectations? Do we need to lower our expectations? Because when I look at the Prem and I look at our squad, we're not better than Bournemouth. We're not better than Brighton. We're not better than Fulham. We're not better than Villa. We're not better than. I don't think even we can compete with Palace at the moment. Like, we are in the doldrums, and I really do think it's a big mess. But Brian, you know, you and Zeus, just to finish us up.
Like I said, Spurs, I think we've got to take as a club and as a fan base, we need to look at we are. Listen, when you mention big teams in England, we are one of the big teams, like by name, by standards, but we're a million miles off there now. If people think that should Ange stay, should Ange go, that next season we'll go at it and this will be the window that we spend and get the right players in and do the right thing, and now we'll be challenging for top four with or without Ange. I just don't see it happening. We're at a time now where we literally need a factory reset and go, right, we need to rip everything up and go again. Because you look at it, with this news with Paratici, I don't think he's going to come. He's going to go to Milan. I think this is at least we tried. But then you start looking into all the news today that Ange is under fire. Like maybe the way I looked at it on the other side, try to be a little bit more optimistic. Maybe Paratici is coming, and he said, right, the first thing you've got to do is get rid. We just need footballing people to come in. I mean, the perfect person. I don't know if it's been quoted that Jan Vertonghen has said this, but he doesn't want to do coaching. He wants to be more top table, like the football people, not director of football, but amongst the more away from the coaching and more on the higher level. Yeah, go get him immediately. We need some football people that will come in and sit on that board and say, right, forget what you're trying to do business-wise. We need to look at this football-wise. And we see how it goes. But as we know, it will be another 18-month cycle, and we'll be here again. Set your watches, because the same thing has happened to the next manager and the next manager and the next manager, which is why I'm coming home a week early, and it's why I will be at the Change for Spurs protest and march to try and get this owner to do one.
Mate, I hope to join you on that, but I think it might coincide with me being away, actually. Damn it! I think I'm in Portugal that date, but I will confirm after, Brian. If I'm not, I will be with you on that. And big up to Wolfie in the building. Big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. Make sure you smash a like. And Zeus, your final thoughts, my brother.
I think we're close. I don't think we have to rip up everything and start all over again. Contrary to what Brian says, I think the squad is not bad. You know, I think it's a decent squad. I know I look at the stats and the goal difference and all that. On our day, we can play. It's just we don't have too many of our days. So I think tactically, Ange is not as savvy as some of these other guys that we mentioned earlier. So sadly, I think that would be the main change, right? Like I think a better coach can do more with these players. So it's kind of sad. But if a better coach, if these guys are better coach, we're going to see better and more consistent performances. And Ange hope maybe has the rest of this season to kind of we need to see something, right? Like if we win Europa and the league form is poor, he shouldn't stay. But if we see green shoots of like good football and a trophy, Europa trophy, then yeah, obviously you stick with him. But if he wins and we're you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Had we been playing the domination and the location football, I might have even had it, but that football's gone as well. So it's just a hot mess. So for me, look, I would love Spurs to finish in the top half. I would love Spurs to win the Europa League. Wouldn't that be funny that after all that bluster, after all that hot air, Spurs managed to win the Europa League over the scum who haven't won anything at all? But I think for me, just on what we've seen so far, yeah, we're going to need a massive shake-up. I think for me, what is even more upsetting is where we were talking about a manager needs to be getting us top 4. I think we're talking about a manager just needs to get us into the top half. and that's how far. I think he's literally undone. All of the kind of legacy of Poch has been undone under Ange. I mean, it was breaking anyway, but we are back to square. We are back to the days where we were mid-table. Can you imagine?
So this is the thing when people say remember the 90s. Hello, 2 good cup runs. We're in Europe, but which we didn't get in the 90s, and we're back in this position. That is the issue. Like you said, if we need to do this in stages now, we have the finances to do this. We have the resources to do it. We're going to lose out on the big players because obviously, apparently, you need top 4 to bring the players. But when we have top 4, we don't bring the players. We don't pay the wages now when we're in Europe. We won't pay them when we're out of Europe. And the big players that might come for the money, if you're in the Europa or the Conference League, we're not going to be in either. So we've got to look at this and just not think that this is going to be a quick fix and a new manager takes us back into top 4 contention, because all the other teams will strengthen this summer and we'll go and sign youngsters again and one first teamer like we always do. Okay, and people will say we won the window.
Sorry, Brian, are you saying that, that's more of like a, I guess, club Levy issue? We have to change.
It's always a Levy issue, mate. Okay. Coming out of my mouth, it's been a 17-year Levy issue for me. It doesn't matter what happens. Yeah. If he let's just say Paratici came in last week, or whoever the director of football is, they need to say, right, Levy, I'll right off from the footballing side. You aren't touching nothing. Nothing. You give me a check. This is the amount. I'll do my work. Not, okay, you give me 200 million, which means I need to buy 7 or 8 players. That might get us 4 great players or whatever. Just give me the budget and stay over there. Do what you're doing over there. Then we got a chance. But he won't do that. He never has. He's promised he has or would. He don't. No matter what happens at this football club, nothing changes till everything changes.
It's his ego. I've spoken to contractors who were involved in our stadium build and literally people in the room who said it was all about him. Less so the club, all about him. And I think he likes the fact that his reputation of the tough negotiator, he loves it. And so tough that we lost out on Mane. So tough that we lost out on all of these great players. So, it's mad. But Brian, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure, brother. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. We need to do more of this. We need to do more. 100%. I'm so glad that you and Zeus are in the same city, sending some, content or whatever. You know what I mean? And I know you're going to be in town. I hope to see you live.
We'll sort it, Dad. We'll sort it. I'm home for 3 and a bit weeks. We'll sort something.
Yeah, I've got to buy you a drink, mate. So even if I'm not, I'll definitely link up with you. And then big up Zeus. Thank you for coming through, my brother. Big up Little Tim's. Little Tim's, don't worry, he's an Arsenal fan, but a good supporter of the channel. Big up to you, my guy. I've seen you. And we are out. I'm going over to Never a Foul because Bood Bants is there and those brothers need to get chopped up. But until then, I will see everyone tomorrow on Step to the Mic. Good night.
Peace. Good night.